I'm currently 13 weeks out from my first ever international powerlifting competition. I will not be showing a perfect meet prep, but I will be showing a real one because my back was just like not having it. And at the end of the day, these difficulties are what make the good times count. Let's go see how this week's training went. Welcome to my channel. My name is Mariella. I am a certified nutritionist, an online nutrition coach, and a competitive powerlifter. I'm currently 13 weeks out from my first ever international powerlifting competition. I'm going to be competing at the EPF Junior and Sub-Junior Championship in Prague in October, and I'm going to be documenting the entire process and taking you along with me. I wanted to start this series for two reasons. First of all, for any of you that may be planning on competing internationally, I thought that these vlogs could act as like a guide where I show you step by step everything that I had to do in order to get to the meet. I will let you know what I had to do in order to get there, so if you want to get there, you can also do it. Secondly, and most importantly, I wanted to show what a realistic meet prep looks like, with the ups, with the lows, with the injuries, with the second guessing, with the anxiety, with the holidays that will get in the way, everything. I will not be showing a perfect meet prep, but I will be showing a real one. I feel that most of the time on the internet, we either see the highlights of a perfect meet prep or only the end result on meet day. And that can be very discouraging for someone that's planning on competing because they feel that the things that are getting in the way of their meet prep are only happening to them. Like, I'm the only one that has an injury. I'm the only one that is having a hard time balancing work with training. So maybe I'm not ready. Maybe it's not the right time. Maybe my numbers aren't big enough yet. But most of us go through these stages during a prep, and I think that it's important that we show these parts too, because that way more people will feel encouraged to go through these parts of prep and compete anyways. Some context about me as a powerlifter before we get into this week's training update. I've been weight training for 7 years. I've been training for powerlifting specifically for 5 years, and I've been competing for the past 3 years. I compete in the U63 category. This is my last year as a junior powerlifter. My all-time best lifts in competition are 135 kilo squat, 77.5 kilo bench press, and 155 kilo deadlift. I currently hold the national Greek records in the U63 junior category in the squat, bench, deadlift, and total, in the U57 junior category in the squat, bench, and total, and the U63 open bench record. I have had a back injury for the past 2 years, which at this point I just consider chronic back pain. I don't even know if it's considered an injury anymore. I obviously have herniated discs, but at this point, who doesn't? It did hold me back a lot last year and a little bit the year before that in competition and training. All my progress was really hindered by it. But luckily this year, with the help of my coach and my physiotherapist, we seem to be doing a lot better. We seem to have kind of figured it out, seen how we can work around it, and things are going much, much better. But it will be a big part of this prep. Like, you will be hearing about my back because I'm still not completely injury-free, but it's getting much better. And only the fact that I can sign up for a meet is a very big step for me. Without further ado, let's go see how this week's training went. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you want to see more. Good morning. It's Monday. It's official. We are 13 weeks out from the European Championship in Prague. Today is week 1, day 1 of my strength block in preparation for the meet, meaning that things are going to get a bit more comp specific. This strength block was supposed to start the previous week, but I got sick, so starting a little bit later, a week later than it was supposed to, but it is what it is. It's okay. Today we have squats and deadlifts, so let's go train. Hi, this is Mariella from the future. I'm going to be making some comments on some of this week's training clips. So first of all, to set the mood, this entire week was very experimental because it was my first week at the new gym, so I wasn't familiar with the equipment. I had to figure out my setups and so on. So things were a bit iffy. On Monday we had squats. Normally the lifts that will cause issues with my lower back are deadlifts and benching, but for the past few weeks squats have been an issue because as soon as I unrack the bar, I feel the entirety of the weight that is on the bar just crush my lower spine and it makes it very uncomfortable. I can't position myself, and especially when I break parallel when I'm squatting, it becomes even worse. I haven't been able to squat based on strength. I'm squatting based on what my back can handle. So getting to the top set for 90 kilos for 5 reps, we can clearly see that it's not an RP6, but it was just what my back could handle for that day, and it's too early in this prep to blow my back out. During my back offs, I tried to just take a few breaths, not think about it that much, focus on bracing well during the unrack and just kind of squatting a bit more naturally, not thinking about it that much. And surprisingly, it worked because I focused much more on my upper back and feeling like I was pushing my upper back against the bar, and the brace was way more effective and it took a lot of the load off of my lower back and it just all felt much better. So that way I did paused squats with 80 kilos and it felt like I had nothing on the bar when previously I did 80 kilos for warm-ups and they felt uncomfortable and heavy and caused pain. So that was very promising and it was a huge relief because I knew that if I just kept that up for the rest of the squat sessions, there wouldn't be any problems. Week 1, day 2. Today we are bench pressing. I haven't done any competition bench in many vlogs because it was very hard for my lower back to tolerate it. It would cause a lot of pain. Symptoms would flare up. Obviously, going into competition, I need to start training in a competition bench style. So feet are going off the bench today. 2 weeks ago, I did my first competition style bench. I can't say it went too well. It didn't exactly cause pain, but it was very stressful for my lower back. It couldn't tolerate it. The immediate next day, deadlifts went to absolute shit because my back was just not having it. But obviously, not having pain is a good sign, so we'll see how it goes. Also, sickness update. When I got sick, I also got tonsillitis and I got a gum infection from the antibiotics that I was taking. So I haven't been eating normally for the past 2 weeks. It hurts a lot. I've managed to maintain my weight, however, at 64 kilos, which is a good sign. But obviously not ideal conditions. But it is what it is. There's my legs. Damn. On day 2, I had bench and everything felt very off. Especially on racking, I didn't know if it was the rack, if it was the bar, if it was the bench, if it was something that I changed during my setup, but everything just felt uncomfortable and unnatural. So again, my top set was a 62.5 kilos for 1 rep, which is quite light for me because I just couldn't figure out what was going wrong. And then during my back offs, I figured out that I'd been benching with my ring finger an entire hand wider than I normally do because I'd confused the 2 rings. So that explained a lot. Back offs went very smoothly once I figured it out, but it would have been nice to know a little earlier. Good morning, week 1, day 3. I should probably get a bit more creative with these intros, and one day I will. But that day is not today. Let's go. On day 3, I had deadlifts. Aside from the fact that I think I look a bit more rounded than I normally am during deadlifts, a bit more croissant-like than I would want to, I think everything moved fine. I just want to keep that in mind because I don't know if it was a focus thing, that I wasn't patient enough because I wasn't thinking about it enough, or if it was a form breakdown thing. So I'll just keep that in mind for next week. The squats that I had after that, even though they were very light, I think that the observations I had made on day 1 about my re-racking, my bracing, and keeping my upper back strong against the bar, I think that helped a lot and that they moved a lot better and they felt way more comfortable. Today was unfortunately just one of those very shit sessions. I went to the gym at 10 o'clock and it is now 1:30 and I'm leaving now. I've been at the gym for 3.5 hours. I had no energy. I was completely catatonic. I couldn't get myself to go from one machine to the next. It took me forever between sets. And it wasn't exactly that my strength was impacted. Like, the numbers I believe were fine. The only plausible explanation, apart from it was just a shitty day, because that happens, is maybe the food thing that I mentioned before that I haven't been eating. So that's definitely something I want to work on these days, because my throat, my gums, everything is significantly better. Still not perfect, but I think I just have to suffer through it so I can eat like a powerlifter if I want to train like one. These days do happen, and as I said, I will be showing the reality of the meet prep. So that's the reality. I just want to go home and sleep. Week 1, day 4. Ending this video, I just wanted to clarify something. You may see me emphasizing a lot on the hard parts of the prep, but I am by no means trying to portray the prep as this hard, draining, exhausting, unpleasant process, because at the end of the day, this is our hobby. This is our sport that we choose to do and that gives us joy. I do not want anyone to feel pity towards me, but mainly I don't want anyone that is in this process themselves to feel pity for themselves and be like, oh, poor me, it's so hard, I'm so courageous for going through this, because you choose to do this. I choose to do this. I don't know if any of you are getting paid to powerlift. I'm surely not. I give a great amount of money to be able to do this sport, and I put in a lot of energy, a lot of time, because I like it. And at the end of the day, these difficulties are what make the good times count. Every PR that you hit, every time you get on that stage, every time you get on the podium, every time you deal with an injury successfully or you get through a tough session, it makes it 100 times more rewarding than if it was just all easy. If you don't view the obstacles that get in the way like that, if you don't see them in a positive light and as a good and essential part of the process, then maybe you're not doing it for the right reasons, or maybe you just need to work on your mindset. I think that it is important that we show that these difficulties exist, but how we view them and how we deal with them is what matters the most, because we all go through them. Next week, I'm going to be showing you all the procedures that I've been through up until now in order to sign up for the meet, prepare for the meet, get ready for the meet. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next week.